Good morning, sunshines. It is still morning here in California. It's Susan, Boomer Empath. And I'm here because I really wanted to make a video today because it's been a while. I've been uploading videos, of course, of my adorable dogs, and we've been having a lot of fun doing that. But it's also time to just kind of really, again, be vulnerable, talk a little bit about myself, not too long. And because it's Mother's Day, I really wanted to make a video. So I've had to take a moment because, as you know, all my electronic problems and all that stuff. But I was determined to at least get the camera up and running myself because you guys deserve a much cleaner, better video than what I did the first time, and that was totally off the cuff. This is also kind of off the cuff, but at least I took the time to get whatever equipment I could working in whatever manner. You could see behind me this beautiful tapestry my husband hung up for us. The other thing about the spirit room that's really exciting is that Lily, my daughter, she has joined me in this room. So she has some of her objects here. And now she doesn't call it a spirit room, she calls it our room, which I love. And frankly, you know, it's fine. We don't believe the exact same things, and I don't expect each and every one of you to believe everything that I do. I'm just talking about from my experiences. And as I said in the first video, please feel free to turn this off or subscribe if you want more videos. I am all about free will, because as humans, we all have free will. What we need to realize is that whatever we choose, whatever actions we choose, they have consequences. They really do. And sometimes the consequences are great. Sometimes it impacts our planet, Mother Nature, which is very important to me. And sometimes it could just hurt somebody that you love. And I unfortunately have had that experience. And as much as I deeply regret ever hurting anybody, each time was a learning experience for me. And so I'm grateful for that. Okay, back to Mother's Day. So, oh, hold on. My dog is scratching at the door. Let me get him. Okay, I'm back. Tanky wanted to get into Chin's office. He was with Chin this morning, and so Chin went out to do some groceries today, and so he was like, "Where's Daddy?" Which is wonderful. So back to my theme for Mother's Day. So as I said before, my mother died when I was very young. I was 15 years old, and it was a very, very traumatic time in my life, as you can imagine. For any 15-year-old would feel that way. I mean, you could be, 50 years old, and when you lose a parent, it is very traumatic and very painful. And I think we all have to acknowledge that, even as spiritualists, like I am, and I believe very strongly that our souls continue after our physical death. When it's your own, you can't ever just say, "Oh, they went to a better place," because truly the pain of the survivor is what you are addressing when you are talking to somebody who's in grief. I grew up thinking that the death of my mother was the cause of my anxiety and depression. But truthfully, I had anxiety and depression well before she died, even before she got sick. And she was sick for 2 years pretty much before she died, or a year and a half. And so what I realized about 2 years ago was that I was not suffering from anxiety and depression all these years. I was actually suffering from PTSD. The PTSD was related to my relationship with my father, who was abusive towards me. I took this, I internalized it. He was, just to be very clear, for some people who perhaps know me from before, He did not sexually abuse me. As far as I know, he didn't sexually abuse anybody, and I don't think he's capable of that. But he physically hurt me, and he emotionally damaged me, and financially as well. And so this was very painful for me. And what I realized is that when I realized that it was PTSD and it was related to my father, I had to go back and deal with that, in the sense that I got a lot of what I call downloads. So there was this time period where I was just thinking about things, and it was all, I thought it was all just my thoughts coming back about my father and what it meant for him to be a parent, and a combination of what I call downloads, messages from spirit or from God. And so over the past 2 years, I have worked really hard on healing a lot of these past traumas in my life. This is one of them. Money is one of them. I think I talked about that a little bit. And what I have realized was that my father, my mother, all of us are just human, and we all make mistakes. For him, he had a lot of trauma in his own life. And when he married my mother, it was his second marriage. When he married my mother, they had, as I had said, this wonderful compatibility, but he did not know how to be a good father and a good husband. He knew how to be a great community member. Everybody in the community loved my parents. And of course, they didn't know what was going on at home because, those are family secrets. And where we started to really clash, my father and I, after my mother died, was I needed help. And I reached out to people and spoke about these secrets, and he was furious. And that created more conflict between us. So I'm telling you all this because this has to do with Mother's Day, believe it or not. So I think I've shared a little bit about how I felt my mother's presence in my life. If I haven't told you the story, I will another time. I received a beautiful gift from her in spirit, but a physical, tangible gift, and it was an amazing experience. And so, especially the last year or so, with what was going on with me and what was going on in our household and the pandemic and the fear and all of that came back again, all of that fear and anxiety, I knew she was with me. She gave me signs continuously. And I also got signs from my father, but I chose to ignore them because I hadn't fully healed from the relationship with my father. And I would say over the last couple of months, I have finally healed that relationship, and it has been very joyous for me. I'm living a life, not every day, every minute, but mostly in joy. I live in joy. That is how, Joy was the name of a very precious neighbor. And so I just want to acknowledge her. And so this morning I did something unusual for me. I have been studying all of the healing arts in spiritualism, oracle cards, and messages from spirit that I have been able to give to certain people, and astrology. I did my own chart. That was for me, and it was very eye-opening for me. And my husband even said, my husband, the skeptic, he said he'll let me do his chart one day too, but I'm still getting through mine. I'm doing tons of reading, everything from metaphysics and physics, to quantum physics, to is it possible to learn to be a medium? To actually channel spirit and give people's messages, because it's very hard to believe in yourself when you don't feel like you know enough about it. So I decided I'm taking a seminar, and I had a reading last week with one of my teachers, and she really encouraged me to join this, what's called the Swampscott. You're gonna love this one, Swampscott Spiritual Church in Massachusetts. And what they do, they have a program to teach evidentiary-based mediumship. And what that means is you go through this program. It's not quite linear. Like your mentors will help to guide you through this. These are people on earth, not spirit guides, although those help too. They help you to do it and to learn it. And then you have to be tested because, as you know, I've talked about this before, there are plenty of fakes and charlatans out there. But here's the interesting thing that I learned today. So what I did, let me go back. What I did was I decided to join as a member, and this was my first time joining in the services this morning, 7:30 in the morning, because they're in Massachusetts. But anyways, so I decided to do that, and it was a beautiful healing experience, unlike anything I've ever felt before in a church, in a mosque, and I've been in all of these places, in a Hindu temple. I've been in the presence of other, ascended masters and had something, but nothing like what happened today. And I think because it was just very personal today, in that one of the parts of the church service is that one of the members does mediumship readings on Zoom for the members who are attending. And she explained, she is also a student, and she explained that sometimes, and this happens to me, she gets messages and she's not sure who they're for. That's why you have to learn how to talk to spirit, to get the messages in the proper order to convey them to people. So she first called on a woman named Susan, and my heart leapt a little bit. Like whenever I was getting like these little, I call them tingles in my heart, or they kind of feel like heart palpitations, but they're not out of fear. And so it was for another Susan, and gave her a message, and it was beautiful. She knew who it was, and they really connected, and it was great. And then she went to somebody else. And that person kept going, no, I don't know who this person is. And the medium started out saying, okay, this person it's a male, he is bringing tremendous joy in with him. He's not used to doing this very much, but, he's bringing in joy with him. And as she started to explain who he was, some of the messages, like the number 3, which really only means something between me and him. It doesn't really matter what it means. But I realized that it was actually my father. And I started to laugh. I was like, then I put up my Zoom hand and I said, you know what? That's for me. And basically, I'll tell you that his message to me was that he was really sorry, that he realized how traumatic it was for my mother to be gone, and the chaos and the trauma that I felt after because of his actions. He acknowledged that, and he said he was sorry. And that's a very, very powerful message for me, because I also have forgiven him. And what he has said was, and what he did say was that we always had a special relationship. We always will. That I'm still a light in his life, and he is a light in my life, and that he wraps his arms around me and he will always be with me. See, I always knew my mother was with me, as I told you. And he did come through once before in a mediumship, through mediumship a long time ago, that I knew was him, but again, I couldn't really hear his message at that time. He actually came through a couple of times now that I think about it. The funny thing is that the medium said today, okay. And she was like, he doesn't want to leave now. He just wants to be on forever. And I said, well, yeah, that's my dad, always wants to be the center of attention. And everybody was laughing. And she said, yeah, I see a stage. So anybody who knows me from previous knows that was part of my childhood growing up. So I am this was a gift not only from my father, but from my mother, who I think really, made sure that she knew that I was there for her, and that she was there for me. And now that she stepped aside so that my father could, in its entirety, give me this message. And it was very beautiful. And I just want to say out there, everybody has the ability to receive these messages from loved ones. It's a matter of opening yourself up to it. And it's not easy. This has been a very difficult, very, very difficult time in my life. As much as it is full of joy and full of all good things, starting this wonderful new job. I mean, I could go on, but I won't. What I will say is that leave yourself open to opportunities. Try not to close yourself off. And in doing so, always be kind, caring, and gentle. Even if you're on social media, even if you treat people on social media like my friend Ryan said this morning, you treat people on social media as if you were talking to them in person. So I'm going to leave you with that. I want to tell you that my intentions for this week are all about kindness, humility, and hopefully bringing some joy to other people in my life. So thank you, and I don't know when the next video is coming out, but hopefully, it'll be next week. And I thank you for tuning in. I truly do. Namaste.